Greetings YouTube, I'm Mitch Goth, and today we'll be discussing electromagnetic fields, commonly referred to as EMF. As you might guess, electromagnetic fields can be found just about anywhere you can find electricity, but EMF also shows up in some more peculiar places as well. Ghost hunters the world over measure EMF levels in supposedly haunted locations, looking for both anomalous energy as well as natural explanations for activity. But how useful is measuring EMF in paranormal investigation, really? Well, let's get into it. As I mentioned before, EMF can be found just about anywhere electricity can be found. Your cell phone gives off EMF. Your electrical outlets give off EMF, and so does your household microwave. These fields generally are not noticeable to humans, so that begs the question, why do we care? We care because while these fields are not often noticeable to humans, they can have some substantial effects on you. If you've ever heard about the adverse health effects of living beneath large power lines, then you've heard some things about the adverse impact of EMF on people. Short doses of EMF radiation shouldn't concern you too much, but when it's constantly around you, even in low levels, like in homes beneath power cables or in buildings with lacking electrical insulation, the effects can take their toll pretty quickly. Side effects of chronic EMF exposure include insomnia, headaches, difficulty concentrating, dizziness, nausea, irritability, and more. Severe side effects to extremely high and prolonged exposure, like those living beneath power lines, can include cancer and other forms of serious illness. But where exactly does the paranormal factor in here? For one, when someone begins experiencing some of the above side effects without any determinable cause, they might think it's a haunting or even some sort of possession. But in these cases, all it really comes down to is the side effects of chronic EMF exposure. So one dependable way to debunk a possible haunting is collecting EMF measurements in a location, and if they're regularly higher than normal, then you could have just found the true source of the supposed paranormal activity. But beyond that, EMF readings can come from some strange places that they really have no business coming from, and this has led some investigators to believe that EMF, rather than old-school ectoplasm, is what spirits are actually made of, and that is where the paranormal really begins to factor in here. EMF meters have become a staple of the paranormal investigator's toolbox, and there are dozens of different kinds out there that all operate a little differently. So let's begin with how a paranormal investigator uses an EMF detector and what exactly they're looking for. An investigator will generally begin getting an EMF baseline of their location, scouring the area with a detector to locate the natural sources of EMF, which, as I noted before, can be an explanation for strange personal experiences that might lead a person to believe their home or building is haunted. Locating natural sources is rather simple, as you're looking for measurements that can sustain themselves and that you can use your detector to pinpoint the source of. The closer you get to what is producing electricity, the higher your reading will be. Now, how does that exactly differ from the unexplained measurements that are said to be indicating a spirit's presence? An unexplained or anomalous EMF reading will not sustain itself. It will likely appear as a sudden jump in your EMF reading followed by an equally sudden drop back down to baseline. If you encounter one of these, you can request that whatever caused that first anomaly come and do it again. And if you find that your unexplained EMF spikes can happen on command and at your suggestion, then you may just be encountering something possibly paranormal. Of course, it is always better to corroborate with multiple kinds of evidence. So if you're encountering seemingly intelligent EMF spikes that respond to your questions, you can follow up with an EVP session using a digital recorder. Unlike some paranormal investigation techniques, EMF detection is relatively simple, but there are some things worth knowing. For one, most meters will measure in a value called milligauss, commonly abbreviated mg. Some advanced meters will have options for what unit you want to measure in, but for most paranormal investigation purposes, you'll want to keep it in milligauss. Another thing to keep in mind is the variety of available meters. There are meters for everyone from beginners to experts. Some of the most popular, from least to most advanced, are the cell sensor analog detector, the K2 meter, the Mel meter, the tri-field EMF detector, and the EDI meter. Now, two big things to consider when shopping EMF detectors. One, K2 meters often don't filter out EMF from your cellular phone like most other meters do. And two, Mel meters of all kinds can trigger false readings if they're shaken or shifted too suddenly. Luckily for Mel meter users, they come with built-in stands so you can set them down and eliminate human error from your investigatory equation. You may also want to consider how your detection is displayed. For K2 meters, it's a simple and bright light display. For the Mel meter, it's a backlit display that can show you more accuracy. For older tri-fields and cell sensors, their displays are analog and not backlit, so you may have trouble seeing them in the dark. Now, there's a lot more detail that goes into each individual meter, including whether they're single or triple axis, and whether they have temperature gauges or geophones attached, and I've made videos before addressing some of these meters individually and in more detail. But for the beginners out there, I hope this video has given you some context into why paranormal investigators focus so much on electromagnetic fields. So until next time, happy hunting out there, and be sure to watch out for my next video as we work to make the paranormal normal. Thank you for tuning into today's video. Be sure to give this video a like and hit the notification bell below and subscribe if you haven't already. I've also got links down in the description to find the Paranormal Normal on Facebook. There's always new stuff being posted there and new community discussions to follow. Now it's time for the sales pitch. Along with being a paranormal investigator, I'm also a prolific novelist, and in fact I published a novel recently that I'd like to tell you about. It's called Tether, and it is a sci-fi time travel adventure currently available on Amazon in Kindle, audiobook, and paperback. There's a link down below for that as well if you'd like to check it out. To those who have watched this far, I sure appreciate it. And now, enjoy some citations.